What's up guys? So in today's video, by popular demand, we are going to be building the second Roman baths. So we're going to be building a larger Roman bathhouse in this video, which is a little bit more complicated to the smaller bathhouse that we built way back last year. So this is going to have three individual rooms for the cold baths, the warm baths, the dry steam room, and then it's going to have the hotter steam bath at the back of it. It's also going to include a boiler room and a changing room. So it's based off this design that we used in our Roman city in a previous video, and it's a smaller design that's similar to this other design that we have. So we've got a boiler room at the back, and then it has three main roof pitches with a garden area to the back over there you can use in your own build. So the first thing we've got over here is we have a changing room. So we have just an entrance where the people can come in and they can change, they can chat before they go into the bathhouse itself. Then the first room you have the cold bath areas. This is going to be the frigidarium, and you've got a cold bath over here. And then at the back over here, you also have a latrine. So this is going to be your toilet room. So you can come here and go to the toilet after you've used your baths. Here we have the dry steam room or the dry warm room. And then here is the hot bath that is heated by hypercourse floor. So what I've done in this room is I've got the bath in the corner, and then I've got some dry seating areas over here where people can come over and talk to each other. But as you can see, it's not a huge build, but it is of a decent enough size to be able to include these individual spaces for the individual bathing purposes. With to the back, we've got a boiler room where you're basically going to be able to heat up your hypercourse under the ground, with then some water tanks on top. So this is where water getting heated up, and then you have a water tank that just feeds in the whole of the building. There's a slightly more complex build that we've done on other tutorials, so you're going to really want to double check each step as we go along. Now for this build, we have a very irregular base of an area. You're going to want to build this before the video starts just to help you arrange where things are going to go. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start building the foundation of the building. So we're going to start with some polished diorite, and we're going to start making a box like so. So that's 5 deep from this left corner over here. Then we're going to go across, and we're going to make it 6 wide. And then we're going to make this into a rectangle shape. We're just going to fill this area in. Now this is going to be a really slightly complex floor shape, but it's going to really help you build onwards into the later parts of the video to make sure that your proportions are right. So here we're just going to do 2 wide, and we're going to fill it all the way to the end. So again, building the perimeter, if you pause earlier in the video, building the perimeter would really help you in figuring out where things go in this build. Okay, then we're going to go over here. We're going to first of all come 2 from the edge. We're going to place some blocks inwards. These are just placeholders at the moment. We're going to fill in 4 there. And then we're going to count 9 on from that block on the end. Like so. And then we're going to fill in this rectangle again. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to fill in these rectangles and just designate these rectangles like so. Which is going to help you then figure out where different walls are going to go, but also where your different rooms are going to be in your bathhouse. So at the moment we're building the entrance area and the changing rooms. Just going to fill that one in there as well. Now if we come along 3 from the edge there, we're going to fill that in for the doorway. Then if we go on this block over here, we're going to do a 2 by 3 to make a 6 block rectangle, like so. As you can see, like that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to fill in this area in the front here, which is going to be 6 wide, like so. And then we're going to start to make the side walls of our first bath. Now this is going to be the first area that we're going to be digging down under the ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place some polished diorite stairs. And then I'm going to just put some normal diorite in the floor over here. Now again, this is going to help you figure out where things are going to go in your build. But we have the main first bath, which is going to be the cold bath. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to this kind of archway over here. And I'm going to start filling in one in from the outer perimeter boundary that we're going to be using in this build. I'm going to be making a little shape like that out of polished diorite. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to come further inwards again towards your polished diorite, and you're going to want to place just normal diorite blocks. You're going to want to go 4 back. Then you're going to want to come all the way along to go in line with the end of your bath over there, like so. And then in theory, what you want to do is you want to fill in all of that perimeter there. Then we're going to cut some of these blocks out over there. And then we're going to take some dark prismarine. Now this is going to be the kind of like a mosaic in the floor of the main cold bath area. So this area here is going to be split into 2 rooms. So the rest of this we're going to just fill in with diorite. But that dark prismarine in the front with that the polished diorite block in the middle is going to be like the centerpiece mosaic on the floor of our cold bath, as you can see. But also it serves as like a good reference point for the other parts of the build. Now we're going to take some cobblestone. And we're going to start filling in these areas like so. These are going to be the bases for some of our walls. So we're going to fill in that line over there with some cobblestone. We're going to come 2 across here. And we're going to extend this out like so. And put a polished diorite block. So we've got 2 cobblestone, 1 polished diorite, and then 3 cobblestone again over there. Now we're going to take some granite. And we're going to go along from that edge. And we're basically just going to want to come 1 in from that cobblestone block. And we're going to fill in this perimeter with some granite. Then we're going to take some diorite. And we're going to fill in the center of that floor as such. So we've got another mosaic-like pattern going on over here. Then we're going to take some cobblestone again. And this is again going to help us designate where our walls are going to be going. So we're going to want to fill in cobblestone like so, along towards the back, and then we're going to join it up at the corner over there, which is going to make the perimeter for our hot bath area. So we're going to do the same thing with the granite. We're going to put the granite around the outside of this room, like so. Then we're going to take some dark prismarine. And we're going to make another rectangular shape that goes all the way around the edge, just going inwards from that 1 granite block, leaving that space in the middle for another type of block. And we're going to use polished diorite in the middle of this. And the whole idea is that we want to make these nice little mosaics in the floor, which add a little bit of extra color to the interior of our bathhouse, just to make it feel a little bit more luxurious and public, rather than something that's like a little bit run down. Now we're going to start building the boiler room. So I'm going to start digging in this corner at the back. And I'm going to take some cobblestone. And I'm going to use that to fill in the floor over here, like so, to just 1 in from the edge. And then I'm going to make the retaining wall on the outside with some andesite. So just some normal andesite, and we're just going to put a little staircase over there. And that's going to be the area that leads down into our boiler room that's going to heat the main area of the bath. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start building the main area of the boiler room. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some andesite and we're going to build the front wall after we've just excavated this area over here. So you're just going to want to excavate 2 deep into this area over here towards the back of that main hot bath area over there. I'm going to take our andesite, like I've said before, and we're going to make the main wall that goes around there. So we're going to leave 2 blocks in the middle, go 2 high, like so, and then we're going to fill in these outer walls. Then we're going to want to go to the floor. We're going to fill in that with cobblestone for where the door is. And then we're going to take some andesite blocks that go on the floor over here. And that finishes off the floor and the main structure of our boiler room. I'm going to start building a little boiler over here. This is kind of a small design-ish for a boiler. You could do all sorts of different like fireplace designs for this. The idea of what you want to do is you want to have something that's accessible to put some pots on top of it that looks like a big oven with some water in it. So it really is up to you on how you build that. So I'm leaving a hole with a upside down staircase. And I'm going to stick a campfire so I get the smoke. And that's going to be the main like water cooking area on top. Now I'm going to come back to that later in the video, but you can kind of see where I'm going with that idea. So what you want to do is you just want to double check. You may want to pause here, double check all of your foundation elements are right, and then you can move on to the next step. Okay, so now we've done the floor, we can start moving on to the walls. Now this is going to be a lot easier than what we were doing before. So you're going to want to take some andesite and you're going to want to go and aim for that grass block over there. You're going to place your first andesite block, which is going to be the base of your wall. Then you're going to want to follow this pattern like so with your andesite blocks, making sure that you've got a doorway in the middle. That's going to be your main entrance to your bathhouse. Then you're going to come to this back corner. You're going to extend your andesite blocks over here, go to that corner over here, extend here, into this corner, and then you're going to extend over the top of this andesite over here. So you're going to make this wall 3 high that goes deep into the ground. And you're going to want to place on top of all of these blocks like so, like I'm showing here. Now again, this makes the perimeter, if you've done a perimeter out of wool or any other material, this is where the perimeter really will help you in placing the blocks in the right place. So you just want to double check that before you move on to the final corner. Then we're going to come over here, we're going to fill in this corner, like so, all the way across. And that's the basic exterior perimeter of the bathhouse. Now for the interior walls, there are some walls that are going to be too deep, so we have a change of colour on the inside. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start building one of our walls here. So we're going to come over like that. It's going to come over again. And we're going to place on this block over here. So we're going to extend upwards across here. We just want to fill that one in. Then we're going to do this here over here. And then we're going to fill in this area over there on top of the grass. So we have a different change in color on the interior wall. We're going to fill in this area here as well. And then we're going to make this wall too thick as well over here. Like so. So you'll get a shape that looks something like this. Now the last thing we're going to do is we're just going to make the interior division from our toilet. And then we're going to start making some of our bath divisions as well. So over here in the back, we also need to just get some andesite stairs to place to make the wall of our hot bath. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start building up the walls, and we're going to focus on the red terracotta area first. So this is going to cover the interior walls, and we're going to take these all too high, like so. So we're going to bring this up too high, and we're going to place on this block. We're going to place on this area over here, and then we're going to place on the inside of these blocks. So not the exterior, only the inside of that wall, like so. And you'll see this come together as we move on with the build as to why we've got a different color on the inside to the outside. So we're going to fill in that over there, over here as well, and then we're going to fill in on the inside of this too wide wall over here as well. Now if you wanted to add a little bit of space, you could just make the whole thing out of quartz blocks and you just have the one wide wall. So if you wanted to change it to something into survival, you could definitely do that. However, for the sake of having some red walls on the inside, I've got some walls that are too thick in this build. Now we're going to take our smooth quartz blocks. We're going to start on this back corner over here. And again, we're going to make them too high. And we're going to go on top of all of these andesite blocks. And we're going to place it too high. Now there are going to be some exceptions to this rule, but you just want to follow one like so. So just going to continue around placing these blocks too high. So over here on this boiler area, we just want to knock a couple of them out. So we're going to knock this out and we're going to put a smooth quartz stair, and on this side over here we're just going to put some smooth quartz stairs like so, just to add some little windows and vents into our boiler room to make sure that it doesn't get too hot in there for the people that are operating the boiler. Then we're going to come on this other side and we're again going to put it too high over here. And the idea of these bathhouses is you want to keep as much private as possible. So you don't want people peeking into the bathhouse. So these bigger walls on the front with the windows that are higher up on the building help keep the building a bit more private on the inside. So I'm going to do the same on this curved area on the outside, just placing these smooth quartz blocks too high. And of course we're not going to place it on top of the stairs because that's where our bath is going to be. Then we're going to come on the outside to our changing room over here. And we're going to be doing more of the same. However, on this bit, we're going to put some two smooth quartz stairs over there. And then on this back wall, we're going to want to add a little bit of a gap. So we're going to be having 1 block intervals like so. And then we're going to be placing stairs on the inside of them. Like so. So we get these small little high windows at the top of the changing room roof, just to add a little bit of air in there so it doesn't get too smelly, but it means that people just can't peek into people when they're changing. I'm going to start building this portico, this colonnade on the front of the building. Now this is purely decorative. I mean, much of the Roman baths that you would have seen in this size wouldn't have had any decoration. They just would have been white painted boxes pretty much. However, in this one, I'm like, okay, let's make it a little bit more decorative so it's just not totally boring. So we're going to have a nice doorway and we're going to have a nice colonnade out the front. So that's what we're doing there with the walls. So you just want to double check you've got all of this right, and then we can move on to the next step. So what we're going to do is we're going to start adding the details on the inside. Now I'm going to do this at the start while we have the roof off, because it will be difficult to see if you work on this and then you don't put all the stuff on the inside and the lighting on the inside after the fact. So we're going to just be placing some dark oak doors and dark oak trapdoors on the inside and outside for the main bathhouse doors. Whereas for the boiler room, we're going to be using just spruce doors and spruce trapdoors, just to make it look a little bit less nice for the actual boiler room itself. So we're going to put spruce trapdoor, and then we're going to put the spruce door over here. Then we're going to come over to the changing room, and I'm going to build some very, very simple changing benches. And I'm going to build them with some upside down stairs and some upside down slabs. Now you can really use whatever wood that you would like to use for this. I've decided I'm going to use spruce because it looks, I think, the nicest. It goes with the color scheme, but really whatever biome you're in, you can use whatever color you want. So I'm just adding some trapdoors on the side to make it look like these are just taller benches. And then I'm just going to add some little pots over there, some maybe storage pots for perfumes or oils that people would want to use inside the bathhouse. And the same over here. Now I'm going to start building the latrine area. So this is where people are going to go to the toilet when they are using the bathhouse. So we're going to place some spruce stairs like so. And then we're going to take some full spruce planks and we're going to fill in these gaps. Then what we're going to do is going to take some mangrove trapdoors. We're going to place those on top of where the stairs are. And you get your main toilet benches for your latrine. Now we're going to come back to that a little bit later on. Now over here I'm going to take some pale oak shelves. And I'm going to build a little fountain for the internal area of the hot bath of the bathhouse. Then I'm going to take some polished diorite slabs and I'm going to build the benches for the steam room, or the hot dry room, the tepidarium basically, in the bathhouse. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to build some seats for our caldarium, aka the hot room, in the bathhouse. And then last of all, we're going to want to fill in with some water and some other little details that we will need for the bathhouse. So we're going to want to fill this area in with some water in the cold bath. We're going to want to fill this in over here. We're going to want to fill in our hot bath as well. And then again, we're going to want to fill in behind our toilet. So you're going to want to lift up your trapdoors and you're going to want to fill in some water, just so it looks like there's some plumbing that is going to take away your toilet waste. I'm going to bring a cauldron and I'm going to build a waxed exposed lightning rod over here. And this is going to be the equipment that you're going to need to clean the toilet and wash your hands after you use the toilet. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some campfires, and you could build a whole hypercourse under your floor. I really don't think it's necessary for this build. If you want to make it look really cool, you can build a whole underfloor heating system like we've done in the previous video. But for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put a campfire under the floor just to make it look like there is heat coming into the baths and into the bathrooms. So you just want to cut a hole underneath, put a campfire, and just make it look like the smoke or steam is rising up out of the floor. So it just makes the room look a little bit more hot than normal. Then we're just going to add a couple of little decorations. So we're going to add some just normal flower pots. And we're going to add some buttons. So this is going to make it look like there's some things painted on the walls, but also there's going to be pots for different ointments and oils that people would put on their bodies when they're bathed in Roman times. So I'm going to put some flower pots over here for the toilets. And then we're going to put some dark oak buttons in the positions that I'm doing as so. So we're going to put them over there. We're going to put them on this curved area for the hot bath. We're going to put them along this back wall of the caldarium as well. Over here in the latrine. Over here in the frigidarium. And then the tepidarium, we're going to put them on these walls like so. So just the dark oak buttons. Super, super easy. And then we're going to start to put or make the doorway by putting some polished diorite stairs around our door. Now the last step we're going to do for this decoration is we're going to take some mangrove signs. We're just going to place them around this band that goes above the andesite, which is basically the first smooth quartz block. And this just makes it look like there's a painted red stripe around the building. Now the thing is with a lot of Roman builds is that a lot of it is red and white. There are some regional variations in Roman buildings which you would have seen across the empire that maybe were not in the Italian peninsula or in Western Europe, which you would have seen in like the Middle East and North Africa. However, a lot of the buildings are red and white. So what you could do instead is, if you want to make it look a little bit different, you could change your color scheme and you could put warp signs which are blue, and then you could change the interior walls to blue. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to make it as the typical bog standard color scheme that the Romans would have used of red and white. So that's why we've got red and white, and we've got the mangrove signs going around the outside. Now you just want to double check that you've done all of this in this step, and you'll be ready to move on to the next step, where we're just going to be starting to build upwards for the upper windows and build below the roof and the arches. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take some calcite and we're going to place them two on top over here. Now we're going to leave a couple of them empty for some upper windows just to get some natural light inside of our frigidarium and our tepidarium. So I'm going to go 3 from the edge like so, 4 from the edge. We've got 1 block left in the middle, in line with that door in the back, and that's going to be the window that lets in the majority of the light into our bathrooms. We're going to put a mangrove trapdoor in the top of that block, and then we're going to take some brick slabs and we're just going to place them on top of our columns like so. We're going to make a little slanting roof that's going to just really cover up the front of that building to make it look a little bit less flat. Then we're going to take our calcite again. We're going to just continue it around much of this building over here. So we're going to place it on top of the red terracotta, over the tops of the doors, and over the top of these smooth quartz blocks. Now we're going to do this on every single part of the building other than on top of the boiler room, which is going to be lower down. Now we're going to leave a 2-high gap over there in the latrine, which is going to again let some of the natural light in, but it's also of course going to be letting foul odors out of the toilet. We're going to put some birch fences just to make a window, and then we're going to come around to our changing room and we're going to do the exact same thing as we've done for the other rooms. Okay. Just filling in the top with 2 high of calcite. Now what we're going to do is going to put a polished diorite slab on top of so, and that's going to round out our doorway. And then we're going to start building the vault on the inside of the changing room. So I'm going to take some upside down brick stairs. I'm going to take some brick slabs like so, and that's going to be a really, really simple vaulted roof that's going to form our changing room, like so. So typically, a lot of these bathhouses would have had barrel vaulted roofs, and that meant that the structure could hold together, because you typically wouldn't have been able to hold the roof structure without massive trusses in these areas, so you have these big barrel vaults. But also, it just looks way nicer, and the Romans liked their vaults and their archways because they look cool, but they were also really functional at making large indoor spaces. So what we're going to do here is we're going to fill in these calcite blocks like so, and we're going to leave a 1 block gap for another window. And we're going to take our mangrove trapdoors and just place them on top of that window to make a nice windowsill. We're going to fill in the calcite again, and you kind of get the drill. We're just going to keep on filling it in, except those two in the middle, so we've got a window there. We're going to fill in with some birch fences later on. Now over in the boiler room, we said before that we're not going to put any calcite there. So we're going to take some brick slabs, and we're just going to make a very, very simple slab roof on top of our boiler room. Just to make it look like it's a little bit separate from the rest of the building, but also because it's sat lower down, the roof doesn't need to be as high, so we add a little bit of elevation change. Now before we start building any of the roof, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some spruce fences with some lanterns on them. Now you could just put torches in here. It really is up to you how you light this up. This is what I think looks the best. So you can follow on the if you want to, but it's best to do this before you get the roof on, because once you got the roof on, it gets quite dark in there. Because the reality is we don't have many big natural windows, or many big windows that let in natural light, so we will need quite a few lanterns inside these bathhouse spaces. Then we're just going to want to fill in that window over there, because we've forgotten to already. And there you should have it. You should be ready to move on to the next step. So you just want to double check that everything is in place, because that's going to really, really help you for building your barrel vault roofs in the next step of the video. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to start to build the interior spaces as well as the front porch. So first of all, we need to do is we need to build this front porch area. So we're going to build up with some diorite walls and some diorite blocks and slabs like so. Super, super simple, and we're going to build the front profile of the roof over the changing room. And that's going to extend down over here, and it's going to extend along the back of the, along towards the back of the changing room. So that's the kind of basis for our changing room. Now we're going to want to fill this in, obviously, so we're going to take it all the way to the back, and it's going to have a 1 block overhang, like so. So we're just going to continue this all the way over, and we're going to want to make sure that we fill in the dark, empty spaces with some lanterns so you don't get a bunch of bats flying around your attic. Now once you've done that, you're going to want to take your polished diorite blocks, and you're going to want to place them on top of all of your calcite blocks. So you're going to run around all the way on your building, all the way on top of your windows, on top of your walls, and this is going to be forming the basis of your final roof that goes on top of your building, but it's also going to help you build the barrel vaults that form the ceilings of your bathhouse. I'm going to come across here as well, and here too. So some of them will be 2 wide and some of them will only be 1 wide. That's okay. That's exactly what we want to do. It'll make sure that your vaults are even. Now we're going to take some brick slabs and we're going to start to build the main roof profile of our building. So we're going to do something like this, like so. Just going to come up like so. We're going to want to make sure it is centered between those 2 windows. Those are going to serve as a nice little guide for your slabs. So we're going to come up again like so. We're going to go up, then we're going to go down into a full block. Then we're going to go up again, up there, and then down again. And that's going to be the main profile of our roof. Now what you're going to want is you're going to want a full block of bricks. And we're going to push it all the way to the back. We're going to join everything up together like so. So there's nothing really that's going to change other than where the curved bath area is. But this is literally just going to follow all the way along from the back to the front like so. But we're going to want to leave this area in front of the bath for later on in the video, just so we can edit it, because it basically just runs into each other as part of the same roof. So again, we're going to want to fill in the areas with full bricks. Now again, you could fill it in with slabs where you don't need a full block. I think it's easier to fill it in with bricks because it just means that you have a little bit of extra block to place off of. So when you do your vaults, it's a little bit easier. So this comes all the way to the back like so. Okay, now once you've done that, you're going to want to come over here and you're going to want to fill in this area for the curved bath. Now, you're going to want to fill in these blocks as so, and we're going to want to basically have them join up to the spine of the roof over there. So it's just going to run straight, it's not going to be anything too fancy, and it's going to meet up with that second to last block or second to last slab from the top over there. So it's not going to meet right all the way to the top, but you should see that it will meet somewhat, so it looks like it's extending out from the same roof pitch. Now we're going to come on the inside, and we're going to start to build the vaults of the ceiling. So first we're just going to fill in this area between the two rooms with some calcite on both of these rooms over here. And then we're going to want some smooth quartz blocks, smooth quartz stairs, and smooth quartz slabs. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill in these areas like so, and we're going to do this on all of the rooms. We're going to obviously take it to the end of that roof. So in the toilet, we're going to do the same thing, and this is going to help us make a nice vaulted ceiling. So how we're going to do that is we're going to take some smooth quartz slabs and we're going to place that on those bricks over there, and then we're going to put some smooth quartz stairs underneath. Now you could make this pattern more complex in the ceiling. I've just done it with smooth quartz stairs because I think it just makes it much simpler, but it still looks quite nice at this scale. So you're just going to want to do the same in all of these bigger rooms with the taller roofs, and it ends up looking really, really nice. So we're going to do the same over here. Going to fill it in with the smooth quartz, and then these smooth quartz stairs underneath. Now on this room it's going to be slightly different because we have that curved bath area. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this all the way across the top, like so, and we're going to do the same over here. But what we want to do is we want to actually edit inwards from that curved bath area. So we're going to start to build like this, like so, just to serve as a base. So over here is just going to be as normal, and on the edge it's going to be as normal. But then what we want to do is we want to curve in these stairs from the edge. We want to fill in the back like that with upside down stairs. And then we want to knock out these blocks in the middle. We're going to take some full blocks, and that's going to go around the outside. And then we're going to take some slabs, and that's going to fill in that gap in between. With here, this is going to be an upside down stair block. We're going to just fill in this gap in between. And what it's going to look like is going to look like there are two columns that are rising up together to meet that vault in the roof. So it makes this really, really nice shape in the ceiling, which makes it all come together into one larger structure. So you can see in your bath the nice structure in the ceiling. Same over here. Got the same over here. And then we've got a smaller vault in our changing room. Like so. Now, one of the final little things we want to do is we want to finish off our boiler room. So you're going to put a couple of little decorated pots. We're going to put some fences over here. They're going to light firewood. And then we're going to make something that looks like a water tank. Now, it's a bit of an optimistic water tank, I'll be honest. We're going to place some stairs. So we're going to have to delete this wall a little bit. We're going to fix it again. But you want to place some stairs like so. So you get that nice corner, which you can put some water in. And that's going to make it look like that's where water is getting fed into for much of the bathhouse, where it's being heated up. Now in this back area over here, I was thinking that you could put a garden. Now what you could do is that you could arrange your city around it so you don't have this back garden area and that you have houses filling that space over there. It's not uncommon that many buildings would have just been like pushed up against these larger buildings eventually. People just built where there was space. But if it's a newer planned city, it's probably more realistic that you have some nice garden space behind the back corner of the house. So that's what I'm going to do over here. So I'm just going to add some ferns, going to add some of the roses, and then I'm just going to add some random little plants here or there. You can really do what you want with this area. I mean, you could in theory turn it into like, I don't know, like a archery training area, or you could make it into a pond. I don't know, it could even be an outdoor bath if you wanted it to be that. But it's something that would look nice next to a pathway. And there you have it. There is your bathhouse. Now, I really hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Hope you guys have enjoyed the build as well, and it's not been too difficult. So we've got a nice little bathhouse that has all of the different functions that we need in it. So it can add to your city alongside your smaller bathhouse that we did in the previous video. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe here if you're new. Planning for some more Roman tutorial videos in the coming months. I know you guys have all been asking for them. I am working on them, don't worry. I'm not giving up on Roman tutorials. But yeah, until next time guys, thanks for watching and goodbye.